When somebody thinks about MMA legends, a lot of them come to mind. But the pioneer of the sport, before Khabib, before John Jones, there was a superman of MMA and one of the first GOATs in this sport, the one and only Georges St-Pierre. But what made GSP stand out so much from the rest of the competition? Maybe being well-rounded in every aspect of fighting, the Superman punch that he is famous for, and of course grappling. Or maybe his incredible work ethic, or even using gymnastics for strength and conditioning. He literally embodied mixed martial arts. Nonetheless, the guy is definitely standing out and will always be remembered as the UFC two-time world champ in welterweight and one-time champ in middleweight. But what made this guy go from being a bullied karate kid to being a GOAT? We will find out by looking at his fighting style and training to see how he conquered two divisions. Also, if you want a free 7-day training and nutrition plan for fighters and bodybuilders with boxing basics and bonus quick testosterone tips, check the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Breakdown of his style. While everybody knows that GSP is most famous for his takedowns and dominant finishes on the ground, which I will talk about later, a lot of people forget that he learned karate from a very young age. So, his base is shockingly not wrestling but striking. Due to being so well-rounded, we cannot say which part of his fighting is better, but we can break it down and start with the striking. While he has not been a knockout artist, his striking was very effective, especially as a setup for his takedowns. Like I said, he had a Kyokushin karate background, which we see in his stance and that distance in and out movement. As someone who had one of the best jabs in the game, he used it to break the rhythm but also to deal a lot of damage due to having a lot of weight on that front foot. However, that in return made his right hand not land most of the time, and when it did land, it did not cause much damage. As the jab was the primary weapon and the cross did not have much success, he transitioned his lead hand into one of the most famous Superman punches, which he used as his power strike. He used kicks as a setup for the Superman punch and even transitioned from them into takedowns. He used feints a lot, including stutter steps and angle changes, which made his opponents retreat. Now, something that GSP shined for, one of the best wrestlers in MMA while not having a traditional wrestling background. His favorite takedown was the double leg, as we know, but the mastery does not only come from takedown success but how he set it up, making it nearly impossible to defend. He used level changes or feinted a jab into a double leg. Also, he had excellent takedown variety, reacting to how his opponent moved or using their momentum to take them down mid-strike. As he was not a knockout artist, he was not a submission expert either. But that does not mean that he was not excellent at grappling control. He did not rush into submissions, but rather worked to be in a top position, always to deliver devastating ground and pound. Also, he is a black belt in BJJ, so he did not fear submissions. He just chose to do what he was better at, strength and conditioning. As someone who had already been a world champion while he couldn't perform more than 10 pull-ups or press 60-pound dumbbells, he just showed how much of a technical beast he was. But later, as his coach started working with him, he described him as a freakishly strong and athletic beast. What was even more impressive about his strength and conditioning was that he was always seeking better coaches, and his curiosity made him act like a sponge, soaking in knowledge. When you look at what he did for his strength and conditioning, you will find that he did everything from compound lifts, Olympic lifts, plyometrics, ballistic training, injury prevention training, and even gymnastics, which we will talk about later. Of course, I will not mention all of these in one video, but I will try to mention the most important ones. And remember, the focus was functional strength. We will start with Olympic lifts. The reason why he trained Olympic lifts in particular was because of total body power development. Moving weights fast or in the shortest time possible is power production. Some of the lifts he used were power cleans, snatches, and push presses. Next are plyometrics. He mostly did lower body plyometrics for his chain wrestling, but he did not neglect upper body training. Some lower body plyometrics include box jumps, depth jumps, and broad jumps. I will skip compound lifts because I mention them in every video, But ballistic type training would be an upgraded version of a compound lift because the movement continues further, similar to a fighting scenario. Ballistic movements include jump squats with weights, kettlebell swings, Bulgarian split squats, and, for upper body, medicine ball slams and fast trap jumps. Now, the interesting part, gymnastics. The reason why he used gymnastics was for injury prevention. In the same category goes mobility and flexibility, and of course, grip and core strength, which are most helpful in fighting, especially grappling. Gymnastics and calisthenics are closely related, and mastering your body weight is the best way to build pound for pound strength, stronger than many opponents. Exercises that he did included muscle ups on rings, which develop explosive pulling strength and grip strength. If you cannot do muscle ups, you can do them on a normal bar or on rings if you have access to them in your gym. If you can't, you can do explosive pull ups and ring dips. That's the second exercise he did, one of the best exercises for pushing strength. Next are L sit holds on rings or dip bars, which are among the best exercises to develop core strength. Handstand push ups are the best for strong posture and shoulder strength for punches. If you cannot do them freestanding, you can put your legs against a wall. These are some basic exercises that you can try right away. For conditioning, he prioritized high intensity interval training because that training primarily develops anaerobic cardio, which is more important in a fighting scenario. Interestingly, high intensity training does not just build anaerobic capacity but aerobic capacity too, whereas steady state cardio only develops aerobic capacity. While that is not bad, the focus is high intensity. What he mainly did for developing fight specific cardio were sprints, all kinds, from normal ones to hill sprints. He also used assault bikes. For aerobic training, he did long distance running and swimming. How to train like GSP. Now, if you want to have a style like GSP, the Superman of MMA, and incorporate something from his style into your own, here's how. For striking, like I said earlier, he struggled to land his crosses and overhands effectively. So he worked hard on developing a sting like jab that was tailor made for his style of fighting, which later transitioned into the Superman punch. Because he used his front hand so much, opponents did not know what to expect, a stinging jab or a Superman punch to the nose. To develop this kind of lead hand power, you need to work on perfect technique and focus on putting weight on your front foot to generate power. However, don't overuse this. If you have access to a heavy bag, put time and effort into making that perfect jab, which is developed only through repetition. Pad work sharpens technique and speed. But you know where GSP shines, and that is wrestling. Those brave enough to try to out wrestle him failed miserably. Once you get them down, it's usually impossible to get up. To develop this type of wrestling dominance, he worked on the basics time and time again. Explosive double legs, single legs, and chain wrestling if the first attempt did not succeed. Of course, for his opponents to not get up, he needed to have great ground control. He focused on positional dominance, strong top control, and ground and pound. The easiest way to implement GSP's style is by going to a wrestling gym and learning the basics. Like with stand up, repetition is the key to success. But what connected his well rounded fighting style was his incredible fighting IQ. His strategies are something that debatably made him this successful because he knew his strong points. He used his strategy to get them to the ground and finish them. One of the ways he did this was by feinting his jabs to a takedown, because he did always a level change when throwing a jab, and the same with feinting a takedown and landing a jab. Also, the level change was the fundamental way for his opponents to miss a strike and then land a takedown, one of the ways he used their momentum against them. To get GSP's genius strategy, you need to improve your own fighting IQ by watching his fights, watching other fights, studying your opponents, and implementing this in sparring. The true legend of this sport and an inspiration for other future champions to become what they become, George St. Pierre, is truly the GOAT. Thank you for watching. If you got value from this, drop a like, share it with someone who needs it, and hit subscribe for more. See you next time. Have you ever thought about learning a martial art like boxing, but felt held back by a lack of time or nerves over starting with no skills? or even the fear of getting hurt? Or, if you already have some boxing experience, would you like to build a physique designed to make you faster, more explosive, and powerful with endurance that's tailored to striking? Imagine building a body that's not only visually impressive but also complements your boxing skills. With a focus on nutrition for recovery, boosting testosterone, maximizing energy, and overall health, backed by my extensive study of reaching the highest natural testosterone levels possible, this program gives you everything you need and more. Take control, train like a predator, and unleash your full potential like a tiger.